Hi, I'm Gary, friend of the...
I'm Kay, friend of the speaker. My name is Maddie, and I'm friend of the speaker.
Howdy, my name is Zachary Matous, and I'm in Professor Jackson's main mini-master of speech, 1315. Today, for my persuasive speech, I have selected the topic of hydraulic fracturing. And now I will begin. Hydraulic fracturing, why we need it, and what happens without. Let us begin. What is the problem in today's petroleum engineering industry? It's one of hydraulic fracturing. Why is this area controversial? Because of many of the man-made earthquakes that have been happening in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Today I will talk about where these man-made earthquakes are coming from and why it is such a big deal. Now imagine, lawmakers try to take out hydraulic fracturing. It adds up for a certain amount of oil and natural gas. So, what happens when we take this away? It's a production of oil and natural gas, so one would think if you take it away, it would increase the demand and decrease the supply for this oil and natural gas. So, today's average gas prices I found are $2.50 per gallon. Now, the average electricity price is 13 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, I want you to take these prices and add them, or multiply them by 3. Now, in a few years, if we continue down this path, those are going to be what's happening to us. So now, I'm going to talk about hydraulic fracturing. Hydraulic fracturing, also known as fracking, is the process used to recover oil from impermeable rocks, such as shale, which I will discuss later. Impermeable rocks are rocks with a fluid but not flow, which I've already described under the shale. Fracking fluid is a mixture of water, proppants, and chemicals, and they are pumped at high pressures into the rock in order to create cracks for the fluids to flow through these cracks into the well so we can produce them. These proppants and chemicals help keep the rock pathways open so the pressure from above doesn't close them. Now, these proppants and chemicals are what is the problem in the fracking system at this time, because there is no proper way to dispose of them, and the only way we know how is to dig disposal wells, which I will talk about a little bit later. So now, this is a picture of the fracking process. It shows you how it creates the vertical and horizontal cracks for the gas to flow back through into the main line and out to production. Now, why do we need hydraulic fracturing? As you can see in these graphs, the oil and gas production has steadily increased from 2007 to 2014. We went from around 4 million barrels a day in oil to close to 12 in 7 years. So now, as you can see in the graph, the oil production is steadily increasing. Why is this an increase? Let's see. This is an increase because of the world oil consumption. In the 1950s, we started about 500 million tons of oil consumed. Now, in 2004, we are close to 400,000 million tons of oil consumed. And now, that is why we have increased our production and have went towards more tighter rocks, such as shale, to produce this oil and natural gas. The shale source that has been under question is the Barnett Shale, located here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the production from this has increased steadily from 1997 to 2009, from about close to 0 billion cubic feet to 2,000 billion cubic feet of gas, which is a lot. The main point is that a series of earthquakes has started to occur in this location, and it is not on a naturally occurring fault, which means that earthquakes shouldn't occur here. Scientists have begun research and found that these are man-made earthquakes. But now, most people believe that the process of drilling and creating these fractures is creating these earthquakes. But it's not. Because when they create these fractures, the rocks still hold the pressure with the fluids flowing through them to where it's not causing the rock to collapse as most people would believe. And that is where the common misconception is, and that is why I'm here today to tell you this. Now, most people will like to ban fracking because of these earthquakes. But, like I said before, if we ban it, it is not going to be pretty for us. Now, the fracking disposal. Like I said, it is not the actual process of fracking when we're going down and drilling and creating these holes, whether it is the disposal of the products and chemicals. Now, these chemicals are disposed thousands of feet underground encased in layers of concrete. The waste is stored in here. As you can see in this diagram right here, you have your fracking well, which goes down and then goes horizontal, and you have your wastewater well, which continues to go down. Now, this graph talks about the number of earthquakes that are above a magnitude 3, which we can start to feel. And it shows that the amount of earthquakes are starting to increase in the Dallas-Fort Worth area from 1970 to 2010 because of these disposal wells. Now, there's no real data as to why these wells are causing the earthquakes. Because you would think with the concrete holding these proppants in, it would continue. But in theory, it is said that these concrete casings are cracking, which means it is creating different pressures, which causes these earthquakes of subsidence, which we can start to feel on the surface. Now, a way to prevent this, such as Ohio has started implementing, is well operators have to do a very detailed analysis of the geological condition of where these wells are going to go before the state's regulatory agency offers the permits to build a deposit well. And that way they can determine whether or not it's likely to cause problems. Another way would be to build these disposal wells in remote places, but that could also lead to future problems. So it is a problem that is still being considered. Now, the main point of this is to let people know that fracking isn't bad. It is the disposal. Now, the disposal, yes, it needs to have future research done, which is why that is my challenge for all of you, is to go out and look at research into where disposal may go, look for better fluids of fracking, as well as make sure people understand that without the fracturing, we would not be able to keep the economy we have today. The U.S. relies heavily on oil and natural gas. You rely on it for gasoline. You rely on it for electricity. Anything relies on energy. And our renewable energy sources are not where they need to be for us to fully leave the oil and gas. One day, yes, we will leave oil and gas and go to a different discovery. But that hasn't been discovered yet, and we are still not able to produce the amount of energy for the rest. Now, if we do take off this oil and gas, if we do stop fracking, it will decrease our supply of oil in the U.S., which means we will have to start importing more oil than we have ever done before from foreign countries, which will increase our U.S. debt, which is substantial already, and it will increase the gas prices, or it will do the opposite and decrease the gas prices so much we suffer another depression. Now, like I said, I want everybody to figure out how we can avert this disposal crisis. And it is something that needs to be researched even more. But the hydraulic fracturing process still needs to be done. As you can see, the worldwide oil demand is still high. And if we cannot supply the oil for this demand, we will be looking at a depression or an increase in prices. Thank you for your time.